Hey everybody, how are you doing? Coach Keith here, and thanks for joining the webinar today. Today is webinar number 2 of 3. The first webinar that we did last week, I'll review that in a second, but today what we're going to do is I'm going to let you know what we're going through today. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually do the business part of your real estate business. Very important. I call it the CEO's report for a reason. And I hope that you guys can remember this, but in this aspect of our goal setting, I want you to know that there's no crying in goal setting. When we set our goals, the biggest problem that I find with my clients is that they get emotionally attached to their goals, and when they're not achieving them, they take their foot off the gas, and what happens is they can't go forward and take the actions they need to take. And if they're doing really well in their goals and they're measuring all the time, they take their foot off the gas because they're doing really well, and then they don't achieve their end goal because they're not focused all the time. So what we need to do is we need to create a budget, and we need to create allocation of those monies that are going to be effective in your business. So the first thing we're going to do today is the CEO's review, and then after that we're going to do the CEO's forecast, which is what we're going to do after we reviewed our business. I'll walk you through that process. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and forecast the business going forward. If you have any questions, please just log your questions in the box there for the webinar that you can see for yourself as an attendee to just type in your questions. We'll try to answer those questions. If there's anything else that you'd like to have answered, type it in there, and if I can't get to it today, then what I can do is I can put it on the private Facebook group, which we'd like to get you to log into as well, which I'll talk about later as well. So first things first, before we get started, I just want to do a recap of what happened in our first webinar, which you have access to rewatch if you like. If you're registered for the webinar, you're able to watch all 3 of them. I'll be leaving them on probably for about 9 to 10 days after the last series of the webinar for anybody to go back and rewatch to review everything that's gone on. So in webinar 1, what we did is we did celebration. We went through the celebrations of 2017 because that's the foundation that we want to build our 2018 on. Is we want to build our business on the foundation of our successes. In the way it works as human beings is we always focus on what went wrong because we want to make sure we don't do that again. It's kind of a survival mechanism. What we want to do is we want to focus on what went right. We want to repeat what went right so that we can do that again. And then what we want to do is we want to add things to our business that will allow us to take it to the next level. So after you do the celebration, you figure out what you did well in your business, you figure out what you did well in your life. We did the life wheel, and we did the work wheel, and we did the +1ing, which gave you 16 actions, 8 in your life for balance. And when you're balanced, you're able to focus, and when you're able to focus, you're able to execute the things you need to do to run your business. And then what we did was we did 8 things that you could do in your business in 2018 that'll help you achieve your goals, and that gets you laser focused on the business builders that you have to put into place. So that's what we did in webinar 1, and here we are now in webinar 2, and webinar 2 is about the CEO's review. So it's going to get a little confusing at times maybe here, I'm not too sure. You all have the ability to download the PDFs that are attached that you can see on the right hand side of your page there. You can just click download, print them off. If you've already printed them off, that's great. If you're in the webinar last week, I asked you to do your homework, and the homework was to fill out your CEO's review and your CEO's forecast. Webinar number 3, we will be doing our budget, and we'll be planning our budget, and I'll do a quick review at the end to show you what we're going to do in webinar number 3. So let's get started on the CEO's review. So the first thing we need to do is to figure out our revenue and our expenses. And it's really important to know your numbers because what I find is a lot of people don't know their numbers, and that has a very negative effect on them. It has them not focusing on what they want to invest in their business because they're worried because they don't know how much they're spending. So it's kind of a catch-22, you know, it's like you feel good because you're not focusing on what you're spending and you don't have to see those big numbers. But then what it is you don't know what you're spending, so you don't spend it on the parts of your business you need to build or to create that stability or to build a business that you can trust to perform year after year after year. A lot of veteran realtors, you know, they have things put in place that they just do year after year after year after year, you know, and then what they do is they review every year and then they either make it better or they add things to it. Now, if you're finding your business is stagnating and you're actually seeing your volume go down, you're no longer, in this pattern of increasing your sales, it's usually because you become comfortable with what you're doing and you don't want to invest anymore because you're just looking to take profit from the business. So yes, it's important that we have a great profit in our business. It's great that you analyze your profit and loss, and that you make sure that you are analyzing how much you're putting in the bank. What's most important is how much we keep, not how much we spend. So in this process of doing the review, the best thing we can do is we can go back, we can review our year, look at where our expenses were spent, look at what our average commission was, look at our percentage of cost ratio for our business and our profit, and then come up with a number that we want to allocate to actually do the forecast for 2018 so that we know what we want to do in our budget. So in the CEO's review, the first thing that we talk about is we talk about revenue and expenses. So what I'd like you to do is just take your overall revenue that you had for 2017, and a couple things I want you to do is go back and look at your expenses. Now in your expenses, you're going to see your hard costs and your soft costs. So the hard costs are anything that you need to do to keep your business running. So it's your office expenses, it's your assistants or your wages for your team, it's going to be all your licensing fees, and any hard costs that you need to have in place to run your real estate business. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about your soft costs. And your soft costs, basically a soft cost is anything that you can end today, or if you want you can increase it or take care of it or decrease it. The truth is a soft cost is the malleable things that we put in our business that we can do one year or not the next year, and we move these things around like chess pieces to make sure that you're building the business that you want. So when we talk about the hard costs are, the expenses that a lot of realtors, feel negatively about because they feel like it's too much money. And the truth is, when we look at the return on investment in real estate, it's really, really good. I was just recently talking to a business owner who has a sports shop, and he had a fire in his sports shop. And when he ended up getting all of his insurance money in, it was somewhere around $2.7 million in inventory. And their markups are only about 30-40%. And then after they take off expenses, they end up netting somewhere around 15 to 20% off of all that product. So they have to outlay $2.7 million just to have a return of 10 to 15%. Well, in real estate, when we invest in our business, the return on investment is really a great return. If you take a situation where, your office expenses, let's say your hard costs and your soft costs, are accumulate anywhere around $70,000 and you've made $270, then your, net profit is $200,000. That's a huge return on investment. That's almost 230, 240% return on your business that you get from the investment you make. So we're in a very good situation where we get a great return on investment from all the money we put in our business. And if we look at it that way, if we look at our future investments in our business to get us that return, there's a total different emotional and psychological connection that goes with that. So it's really important that we look at these, we pull our head out of the sand, we know exactly where we are so that you can emotionally be in a laser focused place and have that comfort of knowing exactly what you're spending, where the money's going, and what that's going to get for you on a return on investment. So you got your hard costs and you've got your soft costs. Now let's talk about expenses over revenue. What you want to do is you want to take your total expenses for the year, that's the soft and hard costs combined, so all your expenses combined. And what you want to do is you want to put that over the revenue and you want to divide it by your revenue, and what you're going to get is you're going to get a percentage. So once you get expenses over revenue, you come out with a percentage ratio. And to give you an idea of what other businesses are doing, I have clients that are, operating as an individual with no assistant, and they're getting somewhere, their net revenue at the end of the day is around $250,000, and they're operating at around 30 to 33%, some at about 27%. An efficient business is not necessarily defined by the percentage, because if you're building a business and you're new in the business and you want to grow and you want to get a really strong business, then you'll be investing more in the beginning to build that business and put the things in place that you need, like advertising costs, or your first initial setup on your marketing, on your branding, those kinds of things. So long-term business people, if you've been in the business a while and you've got all that set up, then you should be wanting to know that this is going to be running at a very nice, even pace. You don't want to see years go up or down. What you want to do is you want to plan so that you have a nice, even revenue year after year after year, and you're focusing on where it goes. So the next thing we want to talk about is your average commission. And this is just really important to have, because if you download the AIM Real Estate Focus app, which we're going to be launching our new website shortly, and I'll give you a link to that, we put in the average commission, and on the goal sheet we put what your goals are for the year. And the reason it's important to know your average commission is so that in the moment you can project what your projected income coming to yourself is. It's really important monthly that you stay focused on what your business is doing. And this is where we want to make sure that, when you're a realtor, go out there. When you're the CEO of your business, be laser focused and be the CEO of your business. So when you're reviewing what your profit is, or you're reviewing what your goals are, or you're reviewing how much money you're spending, this is just a really important part of your business. So when you know your average commission and you're looking at your lead funnel and it looks like you have 2 listings and 3 buyers that you're going to do in the next 60 days, then you can say, okay, so my average commission is $10,000, so I have 5 in my lead funnel, so that's $50,000 of incoming income. The reason it's important for you to have this is because now, knowing that you have this revenue coming in, you're going to be more confident to do it just listed, to do it just sold, or to invest in your business that's going to get you more business down the road. And when you don't know this number, you don't know your average commission, you don't know what you're forecasting, you start to worry that you're spending too much, or you're in your line of credit and you're just like, whoa, I've got to hold back here. And then you hold your marketing money back and you hold the investing in your business back, and then that gets you no more sales in the future. And then you end up in this reflective loop that just happens over and over again of not investing in your business and not getting it. And then you're frustrated because you're kind of in a corner because you don't have the money to invest in your business. You know what you want to do and you know it's going to get you more business, but you can't. So what's really important when we start talking about your money and your expenses is that as a realtor, you set up a different account. And you don't have to go and register some fancy business account or anything. You just start up another checking account off to the side. Just go into your bank, start a checking account. And then if you're in a position that you can do this, but try to get this done, is get a Visa that's attached to that account. So, or a MasterCard or whatever it is. So that way you have all your business over in one account. And the reason this is important is because realtors do not invest in their business sometimes because they're taking money from their personal account, and what happens is they've got the groceries that they need to buy, and the mortgage has got to be paid, and kids and education and sports, and all of a sudden you're looking and you've got this lump sum in that account, and you're like, wow, this next couple months is going to be expensive, so I better not spend any money on my business. And therefore now what you've done is you've crossed over your business with your personal life, and that's just a real dangerous place to play. And that is actually where probably 90% of people are playing in their business. The top 1% that are private real estate corporations, that automatically happens and separates for them. It's one of the best things about being a private real estate corporation is that you have to manage your business differently and pay yourself a wage. So what I'd like to see is, I'd like to see you have, your personal account over here, and I'd like to see you have a business account over here. And what I would like to see happen is all your commissions that you receive go into the business account. So let's say that you receive $30,000 in commissions. Then what I'd like to see you do is I'd like to see you pay yourself X amount of dollars, whatever you want for yourself for your monthly budget. So let's just say that you're paying yourself $4,000 a month. So what happens is that $30,000 goes down $4,000. You're now down to $26,000. And then up here, your personal account's at $4,000. Another month goes by, no sales, so you now go down with all your expenses. Let's say you go down to $18,000. You've got another $4,000 that you paid over here, and you paid all your expenses for your business. And in that 2 months, you managed to do 2 transactions. You closed them, and that was $20,000 in commissions. So now you go back up, and you're now at $38,000 in your business account. You paid yourself $4,000 a month to manage your lifestyle, and then over here you paid your expenses. So this is a really important way for you to run your business. If you could today, go to your bank, start a checking account, apply for a visa, put it over there, call that your business account, and then at the end of the year, beautifully, when you go to your accountant or your bookkeeper, all you have to do is bring in that visa statement, that bank balance, they'll coordinate everything there, and then over here you just have your personal account. So that's really important to do. It's just part of knowing your numbers in real estate. And like I said, there's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in the CEO's report. There's no crying in goal setting. The number one thing I want you to do is try your best to not be emotionally focused at this point in time when we're planning your business. So after we do expenses over revenue and you get that percentage, the next most important thing that we talked about is doing your revenue over your deals. Now, on the printout that you have, if you've got the CEO's report printed out, you'll have all these things there that you can work through. And so once you've got the average commission, you input that into there and you have your average commission. We'll transfer that over to the CEO's forecast. So now on that sheet that you have there, we go to the next part of the business, which is so super important, which is where did your business come from? So you'll see there that there's all kinds of items that you can choose from to see where your business come from. What I would like you to do, and what I wanted you to do for your homework, and if you haven't, you still have time to do it, is I want you to go through all your transactions for 2017 and see where they came from. Was it past clients? Was it sphere of influence? Was it from open houses? Was it from you just listed, just sold? Some of the things that we do, we can never measure where the business comes from. So, but what I want you to do is I want you to give it your best shot to figure out where your deals came from. And a lot of you will find that a biggest percentage will be your past clients and your sphere of influence, and then that third thing could be something that you're doing in your business. Maybe it's your community events that you're doing, maybe it's your your just listed, your just sold, or any kind of targeted marketing that you're doing. Some people, some of you might be running a business where you get a lot of online leads, and you're converting those leads, which is awesome, so you might have that as your biggest percentage of your business. What's really important is that you stop and notice where this business comes from. When it comes to past clients, I would like you to go a little bit further deeper. So I would like you to say, okay, so I received 15 referrals last year in my business. I would like you to go to the source that you got the referral from, and then I would like you to go one step back and figure out where you got that past client from. Was it, new business? Was it another referral? Because what's really important is we really make sure that we know where we're effective and where we are doing the best in our business. Now, the one thing about referrals that's a little bit dangerous, but it's good, is when you say to me, well, Keith, 80% of my business is by referrals. I'm like, well, that's awesome. And then when I look at, your past client list and you show me that from your past client list, you're getting 10, 15, 20% of your business, and that's the strength of your business. The thing about that kind of a percentage is it's year after year after year after year. So what I find with my clients is that are doing like by referral only business is some years it's really great and some years it isn't. So they'll be down at like a 10 to 12% return off their client database. And then one year they'll be at 30%, and that averages out somewhere around 15, 20%, which looks good but gives you a bad year and a good year. So what we want to do is we want to take the highs and lows away. So, what we really need to focus on is new business. Where are you going to get some new business from? Most realtors have great personalities. That's you out there. And so what's really good is when you're face-to-face and you're belly-to-belly. So meetups, or you go to community events, or you end up joining some networking groups. You just get out there, you get active, and you get face-to-face. Okay, so where did your business come from? After you've analyzed all that and you realize where your business came from, I want you to circle the top 3 things that worked for your business in 2018. And I want you to make sure that not only do we do those things next year as well, but we're going to actually +1 them. We're going to make them better. So if, for instance, past clients was a big revenue stream for you, it was your #1 revenue stream for 2017, what I'd like to see you do is add another client appreciation event, or add another pop by or a touch, or add another, letter to them, or, a giveaway or something like that. Or you could do a referral contest that you can do through Facebook, and you can do through, direct mail, those kinds of things. All I want you to do is find your top 3 things on the return on investment for 2017. Make sure you repeat them again. Every time I do a seminar, or I'm invited to an office, or I'm speaking somewhere to realtors, there's one thing that I always do, and it seems silly that I do this, but it is actually very effective, is I ask the room, tell me something that you've done that was really good in your business. And then someone will put up their hand and they'll tell me a story about 3 years ago. They had done this client event. It was awesome, and they got a really good return. And I would ask them, have you done it again? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, why don't you make sure you do it again? So what happens is you do something that works really, really well, but you don't set it in your calendar to do it again in the next year. And that's really what goal setting is all about. It's about putting things in your calendar so you can forget about them. It's that time in the moment where you make your decisions for your business, you put them in the calendar and you go away, and then you come into the office in May and you look up and it's like, wow, at the end of this month I've got to do a movie, for my clients. So you book the theater, you send out the invitations, and then you have the event. So it's really important to take everything that you're brainstorming and everything that you're coming up with in your business now and putting it in what I like to say is a year-at-a-glance calendar. You put it on the wall, and if you have an assistant or if you have a team, it's great because everybody knows what's to be expected of them that month, and everyone knows what they need to do to prepare for it that month, and then you're running a very efficient business. For you as an individual realtor, by taking the time now and putting it in your calendar, when you're looking forward and you come up to the weeks and the months, you're going to be aware of what you need to do, and you're going to be happy that you did it because it's going to remind you to put those things in your business, which is going to make you more consistent. So it's the little things that matter like that. So make sure after you've done your goal setting, you sit down, you put it in your calendar for the year, or you go to the local Office Depot and you buy a year-at-a-glance calendar. You put the year-at-a-glance calendar up on your wall, and you mark when your newsletter goes out, you mark when your farm mailer goes out, and you just put everything in there, your client appreciation parties, your vacation. You lay out your year. And then after that, you can call audibles if you like, but the truth is once that's laid out, that's the year you're built from setting your goals and being laser focused on what you want to spend your money on, and you're going to make that and execute that, and you're going to see that you're going to have growth in your next year. Okay, so basically that's the CEO's review. What we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the CEO's forecast. So everyone has another sheet there in your pile of PDFs. So what we'll do is we'll get started on the CEO's forecast. So now when we do the CEO's forecast, what we want to do is we want to start the process of predicting where we're going to go next year. It's a forecast, it's not a dream. It is a goal, but it's not a specific goal. It's us forecasting the success we're going to have when we implement the things we need to implement in our business. So first thing I want you to do is, you'll see at the top of the sheet is you go and you transfer in your average commission that you figured out from your CEO's review. And after you've done that, I need you to put in what your goal is for 2018. Now, here's the thing about your goal. If your goal was 24 transactions last year and you achieved 21 to 22, I don't want you to set the goal for 24 again. I actually want you to stretch that goal so that you're going to have a different mindset. The mindset that got you to 21, 22 needs to change a little bit. So extend that goal to say go from 24 to 30, and then allocate that monthly where you want to achieve that, like maybe 1 in January, 2 in Feb, 3 in March, April, May, those kinds of things. And then what I want you to do is I want you to remember not to get emotionally attached to your goals. This is to stretch you. This is to help you grow your business. If I'm forecasting that I'm going to grow my business, if I'm forecasting more transactions, that means that I'm going to put in place things that are going to get me there that I'm not doing now. If all I do is transfer my goal and say, okay, so I'm going to go from 24 to 24 again, you're not changing your mindset. You're just saying, I didn't make 24, I only did 21, so I'll just set 24 again. And what you're doing is you're focusing on the 3 that you didn't achieve, and you're not focusing on the 21 that you did get. And it's crazy that you would move forward building a business on the 3 things, the 3 transactions you didn't get, instead of going and building that business on the 21 you did get. But again, that's that whole default brain. You know, our brain has been created over millions of years to survive, and the default brain is to go into the fear or go into worry, because those are the things that keep us alive. And what we need to do is we need to reprogram that brain to a place of not being in fear and shifting it over. You're never going to get out of it. You're never going to be 100% in, you know, an excited future brain, a dream brain. But what you are going to do is you're going to visit the fear and the negative brain, and what you need to do is just acknowledge that and shift and move forward and build the business you need to get to based on your successes. And the more you celebrate your successes, and the more you look at what you've done well, and the more you plan to repeat it, the ability you have to shift yourself into a future positive outcome in your mindset that's going to achieve that. So if I'm going to do 30 goals, my transactions, my goal is 30 transactions this year. The average commission is $9,000. That means I'm looking at a revenue of $270,000. Once I've figured out what I want for my revenue for 2018, I transfer it down. When you're on your CEO's forecast, you just bring that down to the first, blank on the next line. And then what we do is we figure out what we want our expense ratio to be. All right, I hope we're back, guys. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulties there. So what I'm going to do is just do a quick review. Don't know where we burnt off there. So the average commission that you had in your CEO's review, you bring that forward. You set your goal for the year on how many. We stretch that goal. So stretch yourself, make it a little bit bigger, and then you get your forecasted revenue for 2018. Then what we want to do is we want to take that and times it by the expense ratio. Now, if you haven't done your expenses and you're an individual realtor, and you're doing like $250,000 or less, set your expense ratio. If I have 15 listings and I'm spending $600 per listing, that means it's going to be $9,000 in my listing costs. I take that off of my budget, and then I'm left with $38,000 for the year, so I divide that by 12, and I come to $3,166 for my monthly budget, my soft cost monthly budget for marketing. On top of this cost would be my hard costs, and if I'm at $24,000 hard costs, that's $2,000 a month. So my gross costs are going to be somewhere around $5,000, $6,000 a month to run my real estate business. Now that could be overwhelming for a lot of people and can really get them to shut down. But really what I want you to do is I want you to celebrate that you're here with me right now today, analyzing your costs so that you can choose to lower them in different parts and make your business more profitable. And also what I want you to know is when you look at this realtor, you know, this realtor is spending $71,000 in total to make $270,000. That's a net budget, that's a net income profit of $200,000 after they pay Revenue Canada. That's a good living considering that your budget is probably higher than the average income or family income in your neighborhood. So if you're not taking your budget serious, you need to take this seriously, because you are running a business that is actually spending large dollars, and we want to make sure they're laser focused where they go. So after you've done the CEO's forecast and we've gone through this whole process, what we'll do next week in the third webinar is I'm going to go through 11 things in your business that we're going to do. So next week what we're going to do is we're going to go and do your budget. And these are the 11 things that we're going to cover, where we're going to allocate that money in those monies in the proper places. And we're going to actually talk about the specific things you can do in each part. We're going to talk about your past client touches. We're going to talk about the geographical farm areas. We're going to talk about your website, social media, dark posting, what you're spending as far as search engine optimization if you're a lead generation site. Then what we're going to talk about is your mail walks. just listeds, just sold, market evaluations, I have a buyer for your neighborhood. You know, some really cool ways that you can save some money there. If you're working in a team environment, the one thing that really cool that I created for my clients and teams is when you have buyer agents out showing properties, have some pre-made postcards that says we're showing homes in your area, and if you're interested in if you're interested in selling your home, give us a call. But it's a I'm showing homes in your area card. What you do is you print off about 50 to 100 per buyer agent, give it to them, and every time they're sitting outside waiting for someone to come and do a showing, they can go and hit 5 doors on either side of the house and 10 across the street. Touch 20 on every time they do a showing. So it's just another way to have maybe a lead generation opportunity for your listing business by using your buyer agents to create more leads. Because as you know, as a team leader, your job is to create leads for your buyer agents, so that's what you're focusing and spending your money on. So why not reverse that and have your buyer agents create some leads for you? And if you're just an individual realtor, this is a great thing to do as well. Make sure that you get some postcards made up. I'm showing homes in your area. If you're interested in selling your home, please give me a call. You can actually have a two-sided postcard. Leave it blank on one side where you can have room for a handwritten note. And you can be like, I was just showing homes in your neighborhood, and if you're interested in selling, just let me know, and put the phone number down there. You can pre-write those the night before or while you're sitting in your car, and then drop them off on the homes. We're also going to cover client appreciation events, advertising, client gifts, community events, a realtor referral program, if you're in one, brochure packages and your swag, and open houses and what you're spending on that money. So what I want to show you now is I want to show you why it's important for us to do this CEO's forecast and why it's important for us to do the CEO's review. So what I want to show you is you can only be in one state of mind at one point in time. So you can either be in the future or you can be in your past. And based on your future or past, you can either be in a negative or a positive state of mind. And when you're in the moment with me right here today, are you forecasting a negative future? Are you living in the mistakes you made in the past? Are you comfortable in your business, yet you're kind of concerned about not taking the actions you need to do to keep it relevant? Or are you in a place of forecasting a negative outcome or forecasting a positive outcome? Now here's the key to this. By doing the goal setting, what we do is we create a future positive outcome. And that's the most important place that we need to be to make decisions in our business. If you are indecisive in your business and you're not making the focused actions to take your business to the next level, and you're not making those decisions and you're indecisive, it's usually because you're worried or you're afraid or there's negative emotions that are affecting you from growing your business and becoming and who you're meant to become and taking your game to the next level. So I want to show you what emotions live in each quadrant and how that affects your business and why it's important to do the goal setting, the CEO's forecast, and the CEO's review. So if I'm living in a past negative experience and I'm living in a future positive experience, when I'm in a future positive experience, the feelings are completely different. So if I'm in a past, it's above and below. So negatives down here, positives up here. So negatives down here. So if I'm living in a past positive experience in my mind, that's my comfort zone. And this is where the feelings that I have, it's a real kind of a mind twist, because what happens here is I'm comfortable, I've got my income, life is good, Yet I'm worried about my business because I'm not investing and I'm not doing the things to grow and I'm not up on technology and I'm not learning the new programs and I'm overwhelmed by technology, so I just kind of shut down. So what happens here is we kind of become worried about the future. So we're worried about the future. We're in fear that we're going to be left behind. We feel complacent. Some people get bored here, and some people go into a little bit of a depression because they want more out of their life, but they're not taking the action. If I was to go into a past negative place in my life, that would be should've, could've, would've. And this is me focusing on the mistakes that I made in my past. And this is why when we review our business, I want to celebrate, because I don't want you in a position of thinking about, wow, I lost that, one deal, or I didn't get that listing, or I didn't get that buyer. And unfortunately, a lot of the times that's where our focus goes because our feelings are hurt. So when I'm in the negative past of what I should have done, the feelings that are in there are guilt, shame, a negative talk, and I'm focused on what I've done wrong. So those are negative emotions. If I go into a future negative outcome, that's me predicting that I'm not going to make my goal of 30 yens and I'm not going to have the money that I want and I'm going to put just listings, just solds out there and they're not going to work. Then basically what happens is I'm fearing a future negative outcome, which feels bleak, which creates stress. And it's those feelings in which I cannot make the decision to invest in my business. Now here's the thing. Right there is 95% of where people live, because that's your survival brain. That's the brain that has to be worried about something going wrong. So what I'll do is I won't put that in place, because if it goes wrong, then I'm gonna die, and when I die, I'm not gonna have any money, and blah, blah, blah. It just is a negative place that your mind will go to. You can't help but it goes there. What I want you to do is by setting your goals, by doing a CEO's forecast, by reviewing your business, looking what you did well, I want you to be in the place of a future positive outcome. I'm going to make my transactions. I'm going to build a business I trust. I'm going to invest in the right spots in my business, which creates the opposite of everything that we have here. If I'm not worried, I'm calm. If I'm not in fear, for me, it's excited. If I'm not feeling complacent, I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. If I'm not depressed, I'm happy. And if I'm not feeling guilty, I feel proud. And if I'm not having negative talk, I'm having positive talk. And if I'm not feeling bleak, I'm feeling like, it's going to be awesome, an excited outcome. So what happens is by doing our goal setting, by setting our future, we are now creating these feelings is where we want to take and move forward to execute the plan that we have in place. When we are in a negative mindset, we do not take the actions that we need to take to grow our business. Goal setting is way more than people really understand or give it credit for, because what it does is if you're actually going to forecast and build a business, you're going to be excited, you're going to take those actions, you're going to invest that money. You're going to go to the bank today and you're going to open up your own account, and what you're going to do is you're going to have a business account with a business visa. You're going to have your personal account. You're going to put all your commissions in there, transfer it over so that you can start investing in your business and seeing the money where it's at, allocating that money, confident, just listed, just solds go out. You do a client appreciation event, and then you also do some social media boosts and posts, and you pay for some SEO, or you do something in your business that you haven't done, and then you'll see that increase in your business. When you go to your open houses and you've got your buyers and sellers packages that you've invested in, you're going to feel confident, you're going to feel proud, you're going to stand there with a completely different attitude, and when you talk to people, it's going to be easier to ask for the business from a place of confidence than it is going to be from a place of fear, worry of the no, or what's going to happen. So our whole process of goal setting is to stay in a future positive outcome. The past negative is a place we don't want to go to, and the past positive comfort zone is a place we want to make sure we move from. That's why we did the +1ing with the life wheel, and that's why we did the +1ing with the work wheel. what we want to do is we want to constantly be taking action that moves us forward, but we want to take the right action, which is the focused action, which is why we do our goal setting, why we do the CEO's review, and why we do the CEO's report. We take the good things that happened in the past and we do them again in the future. We take the mistakes that we made last year and we figure out the solution, or we get rid of it and we put things in place that are going to have us not making those mistakes. And when we find ourselves fearing a negative outcome, we have to notice that, we have to stop, and we have to shift our brain to go to a positive outcome. So these are the things that goal setting does. Goal settings changes your mindset. By doing your goal setting, you're done. The next thing I want you to do is you take your big wheel things, you take your big life things, you take all the stuff that you're doing and you make a vision board.
15 minutes.
Thanks. And the vision board, what the vision board will do is the vision board will keep you connected to your goals, which will keep you in that positive mind state. So, I don't want it just to represent the things that you want to accumulate. I also want it to represent all the things and feelings that you want to have in the future. So if it's a picture of your family, that should give you a feeling of pride and feeling of what you want to accomplish. So put the word pride in your vision board. If you want, you can go to and download aimvisionboard.com just go to the App Store and download AIM Vision Boards, and you can actually make an electronic vision board that you could use as your screensaver. So when we go back to the review, the CEO's forecast is to put you in a positive state of mind. There's no emotions involved in this. There's no crying in goal setting. All you want to do is know your numbers, so when you go forward, you can apply what you need to apply in your business. Next week, we'll cover the budget, we'll cover where that money's going to go, and I'm going to give you, in each of these, I'm going to give you many ideas that you'll take away that you'll be able to implement in your business. Things my clients are doing and then what I've created for them. What I'd like you also to do is check out my new website, aimrealestatefocus.com. We're just launching it. I'd love your feedback. And if you join the private Facebook group, we've got the link there for you today. When you join the private Facebook group, I will send you a free PDF of my buyers and sellers guide that you can go and have made for yourself, custom made for yourself at Cotella Designs in Langley. So this is what we're going to be doing. This is where we're going. What I want you to know is, by taking the time to be here and listen to my squeaky voice that sounds like it's on helium, to go through the glitch where we lost you and we've come back to you now, to have that tenacity, to stay here, to push through, to take the PDFs, fill them out, set your goals. You are absolutely in the top 10% of the people out there, because most people don't dream. Most people don't set goals. They just let life live them. I need you to live your life. I want you to create the life that you want, and I want you to go and get it. And the tools that I've given you, you can use over and over and over again. The life wheel and the work wheel, if you were to do those weekly, you would see a massive increase in your business, and you'd have a complete shift in your state of mind, because you know that you're taking focused action on a daily basis in creating your best business and your best life. So, to summarize and to end it all, when we started at the very beginning in the first webinar, we talked about purpose, your valued responsibility. It's why you do what you do. And it's interesting because I was following up Dr. Jordan Peterson, a psychologist from the Toronto University. I was watching some of his webinars, and he was talking about how this valued responsibility is the driving force. And he talked about how young men today are struggling because they really don't know why they're here, what they're doing, or where they're going, and yet the young women are having more focus. And he applies it to that the valued responsibility is that the younger women have an innate, built-in, nurturing, caring, for raising children, kind of a neuroscience that's built in that gives them purpose, so they're able to be driven and they're able to stay more focused and on task, where as young men nowadays, they don't know their valued responsibility. So if you're a parent out there, give your children responsibilities. When they take care of them, praise them for it, so that they can start seeing and connecting to what and why they're doing it. And if they're really lost, the life wheel is a great tool to give people direction and purpose, so that they can also put value to their life and start living their life instead of life living them. Thank you so much for joining me today. We will be here next week again at 10 a.m. to go through the budget. If you have any questions, please fire away on our private Facebook group or during, Ben, is there any other questions that have come up here at all?
Nope.
No? Okay, great. So thanks for coming, and we'll see you next week.